What's up everybody, Shai Mizrahi back again on the channel just for you guys. Ooh, today's gonna be a special episode and let me tell you why. It is the 4th of July. And yes, that was a rhyme. On the 4th of July in America we had the Declaration of Independence, which is a promise that we will be independent, and these are the rules that follow. And so speaking of promises, I promised you guys that I would deliver episode 2. Part 2 of how to storytell, and that's what we're gonna stick with today. If you haven't seen part 1, it was extremely good, and I suggest you go watch that. I will leave a link in the description box below. It is all about the hero's journey. It is a diagram that follows character development throughout the story. This isn't more of a diagram such as it is a guidebook, guideline, pamphlet, booklet thing. What is it called? Spanish and English brain work. No, it is whatever. It's more like guideline. 10 points on plot structure that you could use in your next story. So, before we begin, I want to mention why I'm doing all of this. As I mentioned a couple videos back, I believe, I was mentioning that when I was doing my channel, it was really hard for me to understand what it is that I'm doing because I'm a magician, I like to do video, I like photography, and a whole lot of other stuff. So what am I cramming into this channel and what videos am I going to make? And it was so hard at the beginning because I don't know what I wanted to make. It was, if you go to the very beginning of this channel, which I suggest you don't do, it was absolutely awful. It was very random, very unorganized, but as of about 5 months ago, everything has an order, it has organization, and it's much sturdier. It can stand up, and it has backbone. It's mostly centralized towards magic, but there's also other fun stuff that we do, such as these. And it's about that creativity aspect. But we're all human, and the way that humans connect is through storytelling. I want you to think about today, how many stories have you just told just today? It's probably half a dozen to maybe 3 dozen. You tell so many stories in just one day because humans live to connect, and that's why when people get lonely, it's so destructive. It's very chaotic when you get lonely, and that's why we need the comfort of other people. That's why we need to connect. And once again, the best way that humans do that is through story. That could be through writing, through video, through a picture book. I'm going to mention connection quite a bit throughout this video, so get yourself ready for all that connection speak so that I can connect to you as an audience and convey what this video is trying to tell you. Without further ado, let's go through those 10 points. Well guys, let's go over point number 1. Point number 1, the single rule of plot structure. So guys, before I tell you what the rule is, I want you to know I'm not going to really be giving specific examples about movies or books or anything like that, because again, these are guidelines. These are just like what you should do's, right? Not this is a specific example. So number 1, the single rule of plot structure is truly give a sense of emotion to the audience through a personal connection. The way you do that is you make everything that's happening right now in this moment of the story more interesting than what's already happened. So like I said, storytelling is a way that human beings connect to each other and convey to each other different messages and so on and so forth. That's why they're passed down generation through generation, because it's so important to us as a culture that it needs to thrive. It is something that we all share within any community, through any race, through any gender, blah 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 blah, whatever. We all share this as a human race. And we all follow that same pattern that if it's boring now, but it was exciting earlier, then we've lost interest, despite it may have been good beforehand. It is just how the human brain is wired. So it is up to you as the creator to figure out how to blend everything together to make a story that will be more interesting as you go along down the path. Number 2, all about the goal. In part 1, I did mention this a little bit, but I'm going to repeat it again. Your characters who are within the story, all of them, need some kind of motivation for them to keep going on through the story. It wouldn't make any sense for Luke Skywalker to be in this giant galactic battle if he didn't have a motivation. What motivates your character to be here with the rest of the characters going along this path? Why are they here? Why do they keep moving forward? If they stop moving forward, why as well? You need that kind of motivation and logic, or else it just doesn't make sense. It disconnects, and again, it becomes boring. So you as the creator, once again, have to find a way to make the character connect personally on a level that all the audience will understand and be like, okay, that makes sense, I understand his motivation, Sometimes motivation becomes so complicated that it becomes such a dramatic motivation that you get conflict between the audience. I can see where he's coming from, but I don't know if I would do that if I were in his shoes. And you'll get the audience to think like that. Okay, put yourself in his shoes. Would you keep going? This past year in my English class, we read a fantastic book, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. I'm hearing a podcast within this English class, and they mentioned something very interesting. Ray Bradbury, I'm not going to quote it because I don't remember what it was exactly. He says something along the lines of, I didn't write the book, the characters wrote the book. I asked the characters to come to me and I said, okay, what motivates you? Why are you here? If you were in this certain instance, what would you do? Why would you do it? And the character would tell me. And then the character would tell me what to write down, and that's what I did. End fake quote. And I think that's super interesting because you may be the creator of all these characters, but the characters are still separate people. But in a way, you are still kind of a part in every single one of those characters. Number 3, more. Bigger and badder. Not like cooking batter like, yo man, you so bad. This one kind of falls along number 1, but we're gonna keep it moving because it goes a little bit more into depth. You have to keep the audience entertained by increasing the appeal by every scene. The more obstacles you have, the more impossible they are. That would equal a bigger connection and a bigger feat. That's why Mission Impossible still keeps going, because every movie there's something bigger and badder that's so much cooler than the movie before. You're like, oh, please give me another Mission Impossible. Bigger feat, more connection, and that's what you as a creator have to strive for. You have to strive for the kind of obstacles that will come in the way of your character. What will stop them, and what kind of strength does your character have to overcome that obstacle? Number 4, something old and something new. You always need new information and new conflicts. You guys can't give them the same stuff every time. Again, referring back to Mission Impossible, if he just did the laser thing from movie 1, it would suck. Every movie would be exactly the same. It could have a different bad guy. If it's the same giant obstacle or conflict, it gets boring real fast. You need to make it bigger and badder every time. So you have to take the old information and store it and make sure that that stays in key throughout the entire story. If you introduce something into your story, it needs to stay in the story. You need to keep adding information. You can't just base the whole story off of one cinder block. You need to make a big pyramid by the end of it. Number 5, before and after. You have to introduce the character before and after the story is over. What was he like? And what is he now? How has he changed? Because the character cannot stay the same, or that connection will be lost. If you have a static character as the main character, it will be absolutely disrupting for the audience. They will feel like as nothing has been accomplished. They will feel as if the story is more of a waste of time than them to go watch it again. Number 6, the opportunity. Again, going back to the character when he first starts his journey. Why did he leave? What opportunity was presented for him to leave? Why didn't he leave before? Why is he leaving now? Why doesn't he leave later? You need to answer all of these questions because the audience will be asking that in the back of their mind. And when that question is not answered and that gap is shown on screen or in the book, in text, whatever, the audience will pick up on that and it will feel disrupted, it'll feel disconnected, and they will be like, I don't know what it is, but something's nagging at me. Sometimes that hole is big enough for the audience to peep through and they will expose that little flaw. You see movie critiques a lot. Honest Trailers is a good one, and he will reveal a lot of things like, wow, this is almost exactly like another movie. Or, wow, why didn't they just do this at the beginning of the movie and it all would have been over in 5 minutes, which is basically every horror movie on earth. When you don't answer those questions, things like that will happen, and it won't be as good of a connection for the audience to enjoy. Number 7, focus and determination. Your character needs a reason to star and sulk throughout the story. Figure things out. Why are they a part of this? Yes, an opportunity was presented, but somewhere along the way, they have to lose the focus of why they're there. They have to feel very conflicted with inside and be like, okay, I know what my end goal was, but the more that I do this challenge, all these conflicts, the more I feel like it's not worth it. You need to flip that switch and say, okay, audience and character, this is why you're here. You need to clarify, you need to focus, and you need to find that determination for the character and make it really bold, loud, and clear as to why they're there. You may have mentioned it in the beginning of the story, as we hopefully already went over. They're going to lose that sight and you need to give it back. It will definitely show how much stronger your character is than the audience may have originally thought. Number 8, lines and arcs. Once again, you can't have a static character. there has to be some kind of growth throughout the story. The character has to change over time, and they need to lead on to a point where they eventually think that they can't go on. And that, again, will lead them to think, okay, this is getting so hard, I don't know if I can keep doing this. And then another character, or a flashback, or a thought maybe, will come into their mind, or come and support them and say, you can do this. And they will realize, okay, I now have the strength to finish this last obstacle. If I do this, everything is over and everything will finally be right. Number 9, secrets and lies. There needs to be story within the background as well. You'll notice that in a lot of movies or books that there will be the main character and then the sub-characters will be talking when the main character is not around. Maybe a dirty secret or blackmail, something that the main character usually doesn't know. That will be the drama that the audience just eats up. They love drama, and that's a big part of the story they need to add. Whether it's horror, comedy, or even action, there needs to be drama all the time. Or the drama, if you have seen the movie A Quiet Place, it was an excellent movie. If not, skip this part. There is this scene where there is a nail in the floorboard, and that would be the dramatic irony of the story. None of the characters know that that nail is there until the mom steps on it and is almost killed by one of those alien thingies, which doesn't really explain too well. I think it was a mutation or something. Anyway, besides the point. Nobody knew it was there until the mom stepped on it and was nearly killed by the thing that is scaring you the entire movie. And then later, I was really hoping when the alien came down the stairs it would step on the nail, but alas, it didn't happen. So, creators, that's probably why you got a 99 on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm just kidding, I loved it, by the way. Number 10. We are on the last point. Are you ready? I hope you guys have been taking notes because we're not doing a recap. Fantasy to reality. Audience wants to suspend disbelief. You need to make the characters believable in their settings. You can't have Frodo in Star Wars. It wouldn't make any sense. You need to make sure that the reality that they're living in and then the fantasy life that they keep going on through within the obstacles and conflicts, it will still be them when they go through. They will just be growing as a person exponentially. Where they are, who they are, will make sense throughout the story. It's not a drastic change. It's not like, oh man, at the beginning of the story he was 5'2" and now he's 7'1". It needs to be something gradual, but something believable. Someone who lost their mother or their wife and no longer went to church, but met this boy, a homeless boy on the street, and throughout the story, at the end of it, he's going back to church and he adopted the boy and they're going to church together. That's just a random thing I came up on the spot. Obviously, if it were to become a story, it would need a lot of work, but that would be a gradual change that is believable, something that the audience would connect to. And whatever happens now, in the future, needs to be believable. The setting itself needs to be believable, not just the character. The new needs to equal the normal. If they end up in a parallel dimension, the character needs to get used to that parallel dimension. I can't talk. They need to get used to this new setting, all the new creatures, all the new people, all the new customs. They need to get used to all of that. All that just about wraps it up, guys. So, oh my goodness, guys, those were all 10 points. I hope this video was helpful, and I hope we didn't rush through it, but I hope that it was clear enough and quick enough, not too quick enough, that you guys could get the message across. I hope you guys took notes. I know it was a little bit fast, but I think that this was the most efficient way to get across the message and the connection that you needed for this video. So please, wait for part 3. It is coming up so soon, and I am so excited to get it to you guys, and I want to share it with you. I love you guys. I love all of you guys who watch every single time, and I'm glad you guys keep coming back, and I think you guys really deserve, if you guys love filming like I do, that this is a wonderful place to come. Feel welcome, don't be judged, and of course, just take whatever knowledge you can, suck it in, be a sponge, and use it, alright? Whatever I'm giving to you guys is for a good reason. So, please, I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video, which, by the way, will be my top 5 card controls, and I might teach you a few if we have time. Bye!